At what point do you think we started getting inundated with like floods of sexual content and media as it pertains to like social and all that? At what point do you think it was the biggest boom between when we were younger and now?
When it started, or the biggest boom?
Like the biggest boom where you like, okay, it's overwhelming now.
With the introduction of like social media, so like the Twitter, when Twitter got video, the IG, the TikToks, the Snapchats, that whole era. That's where it really began. But where it started for our generation, at least, is when things went digital, like the LimeWire, the Morpheus, where we could download things.
Yeah.
And we moved away from VHS.
It was just less accessible when we were younger. Like you really had to go looking for it.
You had to work.
You had to work for it. You had to go find it. And now kids that, if you got a phone, no matter what age, I mean, unless of course there's age restriction, it can happen, especially, and then for young men with this type of like low barrier to entry into sexual images is chaos right now.
The craziest part, we got our first phones in 9th grade. Now kids getting phones at 9.
That is true.
So
that is true. And then our phones didn't have video.
We was playing Snake. We had to press the button a couple times to get to a letter, the text.
Yeah, we was playing Snake and playing with the snake.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely.
Which is what this episode is about.
What this episode is about. That's a great segue.
It's playing with the snake. So, I think, especially for us, we both, recently turned 36. So just looking at the timeline of how long we've been watching, like, porn, it's literally for me, from the age of the 13, and you said from the age of...
First time I seen it was at 9.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, first time I seen it might have been a little bit younger, maybe like 10, 11.
And it's always a cousin. It's always a cousin that introduces you. Okay. An older cousin always introduce you to it.
Yeah, and so that's years of watching it, not thinking, yes, it's bad, but like at the same time, all your friends are talking about it, like all this stuff.
At them early ages, it wasn't bad. I'm exploring. I'm finding myself.
Yeah,
all of this is new.
Yeah, and you definitely, it's new. And so, but I wanted to read a couple of stats. So I read this from. It says that online source, and we can put the source in the notes. But basically, it said that 28,000 in the United States, 28,258 users are watching pornography every second. Every second.
A second just went by. That's 28,000. That's 28,000
a second. Then it said $3,075.64 is spent on porn every second on the internet.
And that's ridiculous to me because it's free.
It's free. 88% of scenes in porn films contains acts of physical aggression, and 49% of scenes contain verbal aggression. So you see so many things that just don't actually happen in your real sex life, and then it makes the man or woman, want those things, and their partner may be like, when you start wanting these things, or why'd you start wanting these things? And I think it's just important for us to, and of course we know we have women listening and all that, but like as men, I think this is like a top priority like topic right now, because it's so much right now, because we didn't even get into like the OnlyFans boom. I think a lot of that, like for the younger generation now, the pandemic, that's just time and that was the OnlyFans boom. Now, the young women that they're following on IG or wherever that they may have a crush on, they see that girl has an OnlyFans, they're like, oh, I can see her naked. I need to go see that. And I feel like you start to live in a different energy, in a different realm. And it's just like, I don't know what we as a society is. Well, you're not stopping it. We know that. You're not stopping it, but I think we can help try to like push a better narrative when it comes to it.
I think the only way to even, if you want to make a mark or put a dent into it, the purpose of this whole episode is to help people desexualize their mind. Like, especially men. We're pertaining to men. Men have to desexualize their mind in order to find success.
Yeah, what does that mean to you, like desexualizing your mind? Because I don't think you mean don't be sexual. You don't mean that. You just like, so what's that mean for you?
For me,
Yeah.
it means the negative influences of sex, like watching porn, being on the timeline looking at naked women all day, looking at twerking videos, all the stuff that's a distraction to your higher purpose, all distraction to your goals, all distraction to the things you want to accomplish in life. So when I say desexualize your mind, I'm really mean removing the urges that are holding you back from your true purpose.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And I think I'm so passionate about it because this is the first year that we actually put it into effect, like actually put it into the works. Like, you know, it's been times, like, let me give this a break and go back. But this was the first year it was like a conscious effort, like no more. Like I'm just done with it. And luckily for me, sometimes it's a tad bit easier because I don't have an addictive personality, so I can go cold turkey a lot of times. But I know that's not everybody. So on this episode, I want to give them some tips on some how to stop. I want to give them why it's bad, why you need to stop, all of those things. But that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I think for me too, it's also like desexualizing your mind is also like learning how to sit with those feelings and transmute them. You know what I'm saying? Transmute them into something better, something more productive. Because a lot of times it's your lower nature. So you got your lower nature and your higher nature. And we as men operate out of our lower nature a lot of the time, a heavy percentage of the time. And so you gotta starve the flesh, like not even like not feed, you gotta starve it. Because just not feeding it isn't enough. Like you have to like go in deep when those like urges come and like ask yourself really, why am I feeling this way? Is it a certain emotion I'm getting? Is it a certain like, am I just missing somebody? Am I lonely? Like whatever those things are, you know, we as men, we're not taught that. We taught to just not fight the urge, but just go with the urge. Like, hey, look, you horny, bro. Like, do what you got to do. Which we used to say, oh, is this business? That's what we used to say, is this business? But like that business can have a hindrance on your psychology and like how you looking at things and how you operating in things. So
to me, to answer that question, I think a lot of the times it could be a lack of purpose. Like you haven't found out what you want to do yet. So you have all this idle time, or you may feel bad about that, where you use that extra time to, you know, succumb to your vices, to go to the porn site, or you may be lonely. Let me go to this porn site. Oh, like, so like the pandemic, when you brought that up, it made sense. It was like the perfect time for OnlyFans to blow up because everyone's home. A lot of people are living alone. They lonely. They can't go nowhere. That made sense. But now that the world is back open, a lot of people got addicted and they still stuck in that cycle from that pandemic. So to me, the reason why people are so addicted to porn because they don't have anywhere else to channel that energy. Like, so at the beginning of the year, we decided to do semen retention. And, you know, a lot of studies say it, and, you know, some people say it's a lack of studies in this area, if you should be doing that or not. But that energy that we use to go after these sexual pursuits or watch porn or have these dopamine spikes, if you channel that energy into a business or into a goal or into a new skill, you actually see the results pay off.
Yeah.
So I think if you know what you want to do in life, you'll channel that energy to that instead. Of course, when you first start, it's going to be tough because you've been doing this for 20-something years, 30-something years possibly. So it's not going to be this thing that you just stop, but if you put a conscious effort behind it, and you know this is where I'm shifting the energy, before I say declare I'm giving up porn, it'll be a lot easier. So for me, semen retention, I was channeling that energy into high frequency.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, this is what I want to build. I will have way more time if I'm not thinking about that. And for me, now that I've been doing it for 5 months now, not just semen retention. Semen retention was just for 30 days when I did Raise 30. But giving up porn was the goal. I feel good. Like I feel like my whole brain chemistry has changed. Like I'm not thinking about women as much. I'm not even thinking about sex as much because I'm channeling that energy back into our business. And look at what we have done since January. Like we just launched.
And have reiterated.
And reiterated so many times that now we finally found what it is.
Yeah.
Like we have the vision now.
Yeah.
And we've been working on it. And I don't feel like any of that would have happened if I kept giving my energy away. It's the focus that we had that I feel like got us to this point.
Yeah.
Even to have this episode.
Yeah, and I believe that, like, even when you look at like books like Think and Grow Rich, the whole chapter 11 of that book, for the people who want to go and check it out, the whole chapter 11 in that book is about sex transmutation. Now, sex transmutation is the act of transferring that energy into a means or a purpose, an idea that you may have, and that whole chapter is about that, and that book was written 1930s. You know what I'm saying? That's how long this has been going on. But people say there's not many studies, but it's like it's actually a bunch of studies, and it's people write about it because it really is something that's positive. It really is something that affects young men, and that throughout the whole thing. For example, it tries to teach us how, like, we can take the sexual energy that we have when we see a young lady online, or, you know, when we see her out and about, and not use that to just like, oh, I need to have her, but instead use that energy as like to feel good as a man. Like, this is part of your nature. Like, I just feel good. I see a nice young lady. I'm grateful. The world is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? In a different, positive manner. And I believe one of the realest things is a man who masters his sexual energy masters his life. Because
absolutely.
Once you master your sexual energy, you have innate power that you didn't even know you had. Like, conversations are different. Energy is different when you walk in a room. When you are interacting with people, it's different. They can feel it on you. It's like, man, like
men and women.
Yeah, men and women. Like I say, he's poised. Like, I believe that's really what alpha looks like. A man who's like secure in his nature and doesn't have to like move at the slightest bit of the nice butt or the nice boob, the breast, or like the good looks. Like, he don't need that. He can not answer that message. He can say, you know, that's not where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a powerful thing, because once you get into that level of discipline, like, it bleeds throughout everything else. Like, it bleeds throughout the things that you need. Like, 'cause you can easily say no to the things that are satisfying in the moment for the exponential long-term gain of the beautiful things that you're looking for.
I want to sit in that for a little bit, because I wholeheartedly agree. Because I don't know if you know this, but this is something that studies have shown, that the greatest addiction for men is porn.
For sure.
Like, the hardest addiction for men to give up is watching porn because of the dopamine spike.
Yeah.
It's higher than nicotine. It's higher than even sex. Yeah. Like, it's comparable to sex, but it's also comparable to drugs, the dopamine spike we get when we watch porn. So that's why we feel so lethargic when we coming down off of it, and feel so bad, because just like a high, when the high goes down. And the thing when you watch porn, the more you watch, the more you gotta up it to get that same spike. It's just like drugs. Like, the thing that honestly got me to be like, all right, I gotta stop watching porn, I started searching things that I'm like, I ain't never searched this type of stuff before.
Yeah.
Like, it was getting a little bit too crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Too crazy.
But I knew, okay, this is the beginning of it turning into crazy.
Yeah.
I like,
because it's not enough. Like,
it's not enough. That's why I knew. I was like, all right, my tolerance is getting too high.
Yeah.
I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
But the part I really want to sit in, which I love, is how it bleeds into other areas of your life. Because if you can conquer that addiction, you're gonna be more disciplined in life. Like you may conquer working out more consistently, going to the gym more consistently. You're gonna bring that discipline to your business. You're gonna be more focused in your business, channeling more energy there. You're gonna be better in your relationship. Be more in tune with that. Maybe if you have kids, a better father. Like you think it sound crazy the things we saying, but these that change,
that 1%,
that 1% change has a drastic effect on all the parts of your life.
Absolutely.
So controlling that urge is really turning that urge into discipline.
Like if we go back to when we were 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whenever, men started at different ages, but I had nobody when I started watching porn to like say, yo, hold on, like that stuff that you watching can really have a bad, like how they have the commercials, don't do drugs commercials, those were in your face, so you like, oh, okay, well, man, it's like, I think they needed them don't do porn, like they needed something like that, because if we would have had that and seen like, oh man, if it's like a drug, then this is gonna affect my brain. I don't want it to affect my brain. But no, we were always told like, nah, it's okay, go ahead and watch that. It's okay, explore yourself. It's okay,
but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
And that's the thing.
It's way more access now than it was back then, because when we first started, it's VHS. We putting in tapes, rewinding it. We getting magazines. We don't have access to this. It's online yet like that.
Yeah.
So
I guess it wasn't hitting you. I guess it wasn't. I think it's still bad, but it's just not hitting you as often.
Because think about it. When we was kids, we had to send a message on MySpace. Go to school the whole day.
Yeah,
we
have
ain't
patience.
We ain't on our phones. We ain't got no other stimulation going on outside of what's happening in school. Then we come back. Kids now just have it on their phone all day. Like teachers back in our day, they desk was full of yo-yos, gigapets, stuff like that. Now teachers probably taking phones because they just have access, and it's everything they have access to is some type of sexualization on there. Like we didn't have it like that. So even though still probably should have preached that message, it wasn't as bad as it is now.
I guess the rate at which it was coming wasn't crazy. Well, when you first started watching, you said a cousin introduced you, and then from there, how did it like escalate? You went and found it yourself, or like friends? I
think it was just a natural progression. So first it was a cousin that I seen it from, and I'm like, what's this? And I'm just a curious kid, so you watching it, and then it didn't really pick up until like that middle school, like 12, 13. And when your parents going out, they like, you want to go? You be like, nah, I'm gonna stay home. That era, that's when it begins. Like when you start having wet dreams and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a different era.
And then, I had an older brother, so of course he is a couple years older than me, so he was already on the train. And then I would see that. And when he's gone, I started picking up that stuff and watching that. So it was just a natural progression. And then, I'm learning about this now. Now I'm curious. So and then I'm exploring myself now. And this feels good. This time still feels good. So
like you just remember your first like orgasm. Like you just remember like, oh my goodness, like what's this feeling? How do I do this again? When is my mom not gonna be home? When is my dad not gonna be home? Please go home.
I need leave home.
Yeah,
please leave home so I can stay home.
I need this time to myself. And I think the dangerous thing is, if we talk about society, like there's so many women who have to deal with like creeps. I believe a lot of that stems from the over-sexualization that they see in porn. It stems from them not knowing how to deal with emotions outside of like, I'm a man, I need to get this urge out. And then they end up, because we hear, we have close friends who are women who tell us all types of stuff. And me and you, we be like, they doing what out here? They did what? Like, but I believe it stems from these fantasies that men want to have or want to relive that they seen through these digital platforms, and the women are like, bro, like I'm not into that, or I don't know what you're doing, or like get off me, or like it's just a weird thing because it's a hole that they haven't like that they just haven't filled with the right emotion, with the right sentiment about what they got going on. They don't have a healthy view on sex. They just have porn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like porn will ruin your sex mentally and physically because mentally you're like, I want to try this. I want to do this. And not everybody's into the extreme stuff that porn is doing because you know, we may look at it as normal now because we've been seeing it so long, but not everybody's into that stuff. So now, automatically, the fantasies you see on porn and stuff you see on porn you want to try, in real life, they don't want to do that. Of course, you can find some that do, but majority may not want to do that. And now you're not being satisfied because you're only stimulated by this, by this extreme. So if someone's not doing that, you may have thinking you have ED. It's not even that you have erectile dysfunction. You just your mind's so spiked on dopamine that you can't be satisfied in regular sex anymore. Like you have to have the extreme that's happening in porn for you to be turned on or get aroused. So mentally you're suffering because you have this image of what sex should be, and physically you're suffering because you're not being aroused by the sex you can have.
And we're talking from single standpoints. Like, I think porn in relationships is an issue. Depending on, of course, now we're talking about from our experience. If you're out there and this works for you, hey, live your life. But for the people who are looking to desexualize their brain and get into a better state, that's what we're talking about. I think there are men and women, of course, in relationships that watch porn, maybe when a significant other isn't there, or I think if you watch it together, maybe that's a whole nother thing. But I still don't know if it's good. Because I feel like you're looking for a stimulant for your relationship when I believe you two can just you can get that from yourself. Maybe if you're looking for ideas to explore, maybe, but I think if you have to watch it every time you're doing something, it's interesting. I'm not gonna say it's wrong, it's just interesting to me, because I never was like, oh, let's put on this while we do this type of, because I'm not paying it. Some people do, but for me, one is gonna throw me off, and it's just like, that's not, I don't know.
Like, honestly, porn is business for me. When I was watching porn, I'm not watching. If a girl is there, why am I watching porn?
It just don't make sense.
You're here.
Me.
Porn is like when you don't have a girl there and you want to get one off, for lack of a better term. You turn that on and you do what you need to do. And then as soon as you're done, you feel bad after, to be honest.
Every time.
So that lets you already know that you shouldn't be doing this, because mentally you feel bad, spiritually you feel bad. So that's why I was like, at the top of the year, I was like, I got goals I want to hit. I got to stop. I don't even feel good after I'm done. So what's the point?
Every time, I don't even know when that started happening.
I think it's an older thing because you start thinking like, you know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna do it. I know it's distracting me, but I'm gonna do it. I know it's taken away from what I need to be doing, but I'm like, you internalize everything that is about. Like, the excitement is gone. When you were a kid, you were exploring, you was finding it. It was discovery. Now it's this business. Now it's just a means to an end. But at the end, it never feels good. It never feels good. When you go look at yourself in the mirror after you're done, you be like, why I do this? What am I doing?
I was talking to one of my friends about us doing this episode, and she was like, oh, I didn't know men over 30 still watch porn. I was like, oh, absolutely, it's men over 50, 60. It's every age. It's not a one age one age thing. So I think we can get into like I had a slip up recently, so I can get into that, what may have led to it. And I think we should get into it's going to be interesting. So when it comes to desexualizing your brain, now at the end of the day, we still guys, we still love women, but I think you got to figure out where to draw a line, because you know the phrase, how you do anything, how you do everything. It starts with like a text message or something. You know what I'm saying? Spicy text message. Mm-hmm. That spicy text message could lead to pictures being sent. Mm-hmm. Pictures being sent could lead, maybe it stops there, but then later on in the day you find yourself on IG, you looking at a few more extra pictures than you need to be looking at. Or you staying on a page a little longer than you need to be. And you think like, because that's what happened to me, like, I was fine and I was like, oh, cool. But then it was just late one night and I was scrolling. And I wasn't in my routine. I wasn't in the good habits that I had worked on. And I was scrolling. Then that scrolling led to me like, oh, let me just look at a little something. Mm-hmm. And then it was all downhill from there.
It ain't never gonna be a little something.
It ain't never gonna be a little something.
It's gonna be a lot of something.
It definitely was a lot of something. So where I went wrong was, I think, starting with the triggers earlier in that day or earlier in that week. I think people think just because you do something like a couple days ago, stuff can sit and simmer on your brain. I think that's what happened. Like, especially if you haven't seen a woman in a while, or maybe it's somebody you're really attracted to and they really like talking to you nice, and you like, oh, okay, man, okay, cool, but I'm gonna chill. Then you might be on IG or whatever it is, and that's a land of its own. Twitter is a land of its own. You gotta have certain parameters and things, and we'll get into that. But I think that's what happened to me. And immediately, as soon as it happened, I said, why I do this? I was like, why?
It always, as soon as you climax, it come all back down, come crashing down.
It's like, why do I do this? It was like, why did I do this? But I had to know that, I was like, okay, let me give myself grace. Like, I made a mistake, but now what are the things that led to this? And how do I go back and not do that again? Am I gonna be perfect about it? Maybe not. It could happen again, but at least now I know, like, oh, this is where I started last time. This is what got me here. Let me look at how I can go back and do it. It's those little, like we said earlier, those small steps, like, oh, hey, cut that out here. Oh, hey, don't look at that. Hey, log off there. Remove that. Like, you gotta take every parameter just to make sure you say, because like you said, the access is just everywhere. It's just everywhere.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So these are the ways that I would desexualize my mind. Mm-hmm. But also, I got to talk about how you said what my triggers are. So one, identify your triggers.
Immediately, that's the first step, yeah.
Identify the triggers that's leading you down this path. Mm-hmm. So one, IG, social media, TikToks, the Twitters. When you on those,
you gonna see something
on those social media. You have to audit it.
Yeah, you gotta audit
like
it to the best of your ability.
And I'm talking about the little details of, like, anybody you see come across your timeline that you following, click on their profile and ask yourself, really, why am I following this person?
Yeah.
And mostly this gonna be pertaining to women that you're following.
Yeah, this the girl.
So what I've been doing all year, because I can't, it's hard just to go through your followers sometimes. I'm just gonna do it by when you pop up on my timeline.
Yeah.
You pop up my timeline, I click your profile. If I know I'm only following you because you look good, or I said you look good, or you got a nice body, I unfollow you.
It's your version of on site.
On site. It's on site. I unfollow you.
Yeah.
Also, if I see something, say I'm not following, but they try to suggest to me, I put not interested.
Yeah, you definitely got it.
Because if you don't, they're going to keep showing you that, especially if you mess up and like it. They're gonna provide more of that in the explore page, on your main feed. You're going to get a bunch of that.
And a short tip for the not interested guys, when you do the not interested, don't click it and then do it, because as soon as you click it, it's in there. Like, just hold it down when you see it on the explore page. Just hit not interested. That helps too, because somebody else, so they was like, don't actually click it, just hold it down and put not interested. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
And why it's important to audit your socials, because that's the first step usually what's leading you to watching porn, because you seeing the challenges of women twerking. You seeing this half-naked woman on the beach. Like, you think it's not affecting you, but it is. It's a form of soft porn, basically, in a way. That's the way you got to look at it. Like, because
you
subconsciously, it's in your brain. And now you starting to think about women. And that's what leads you to go to the porn site, usually later down the road. So that's first and foremost. Two, what is it in your environment that's triggering you? That could be something that's in your house, that when you see it, you think about a certain woman, or you may think about certain things, or it could be just a time of the week. Like for me, usually when I was doing my porn watching, it'd be Fridays, Saturdays. Like I done worked all week. I'm like, you know, I deserve to get this.
It's a reward.
Yeah, it's like I was treating it like it was a reward. I knew when I made this declaration that I'm giving up porn, that my battle would start on Friday, Saturday. So that was something I identified.
Because the idle mind is the devil's playground. Like when it's just idle like that, like your thoughts are going crazy.
But it was almost a habit.
And it's
it was like a routine in a way. It wasn't even like an idle mind. It was just a routine. Friday, Saturdays is usually when this is happening. Because now I done finished work. I'm staying up a little bit later because I don't have to wake up early. So that was one. And then also another one for me was, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't fall back asleep, I used to justify like, might as well, you know.
Yeah, what else I'm gonna do?
What else I'm gonna do? I can't fall back asleep. I might as well
do. It's crazy because so many things you can do.
So many things I can do, but it was only one thing I was doing for a long time. So I knew my battle would be, I gotta audit my socials, which I've been doing for a while. So that's something I've been disciplined on. But it was the Friday, Saturday, and in the middle of the night, if I can't fall back asleep, I knew it was my toughest battles. And if I get past those two things, I knew I'd be on the road where like, all right, I think I'm good. To fight this.
Now, that's what happened with me too. Like understanding, like, all right, this late night, it's always that late night. Like, all right, so if we don't want that late night trigger to be a thing, all right, what do? Okay, one, we put our phone down past 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever. We put our phone down. We read. We stretch, we do something that we get in, we add the nighttime routine from high frequency, you know, raise 30, you know what I'm saying? The nighttime,
raise 30, raise 30 get you right.
Raise 30 get you right. Like you do that routine, and that's why we love raise 30 too, because it's something that you can go back to anytime. You can finish up and start it right back over if you want to. Like however you feeling, that's what you got to do. But like mine would be late night, like you said, weekend, just that idle time, like, okay, I need to replace this idle time with like, all right, when I feel this way, I need to journal. I think journal is a good thing. Like, how am I feeling? Like, let me get this out. Let me figure this out. But I think also how we operate, we like challenges. Like, give yourself a challenge. Like what type of man am I about to be? Like, I'm not. You gotta look at yourself like I ain't no weak man. Like if everything. Imagine like this is your kingdom, right? And if any and every woman can basically present themselves and enter your kingdom, like what nation are you really building within here? Like they can easily infiltrate your king. They can easily get inside here, manipulate your soldiers, manipulate your mind. Like that's how you gotta look at it. That's how you gotta treat your brain when it comes to desexualizing. Like, and also, honestly, girls don't know how to handle it when you that type of man. Like, I've been called gay before because I ain't want to have sex, which is crazy. I'm like, because I don't want to have sex. But if you want to have sex and I try you like, no, you know, it's a whole nother thing. They look at you like, oh, is something wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing semen retention? Like, you can't let that noise get in your head because that's just, honestly, those are just entities that's trying to mess up your path, your purpose that you want. Like, the purpose always comes first. We're a superior man. For the man, the purpose is first and foremost. It's above the sex, it's above the kids, it's above, like, all that. It's the purpose is first, because once you are at your highest purpose, then everybody else can be good up under you, like, cause you reach your highest purpose. But you can't get there if at every step you falling flat to your fleshly desires. Like, that's why, I mean, in the Bible, is that the flesh, it is weak, and the desires of your heart can lead you down some wild places.
But it's funny as you say, when you focus on your purpose and focus on building yourself up, everything that you want come to you. Everything that you've been chasing come to you now.
Yeah.
You don't have to chase it anymore. And then what comes to you will be the highest of quality. So I'm a firm believer in, if you don't have a strong why, you're not going to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. No, like in anything.
That's
not
just me. That's the way I've operated in my life. So that's why I'm a firm believer of it. Like, this year for me, my why is I want to be the best physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially I've ever been in my life thus far. So me giving up porn fits into that, because spiritually and mentally, I need to not be watching that, so I'm not distracted and wasting my energy where I could be putting it somewhere else.
You shout out to George Heaton and Represent, because I had put it on the back of my phone, because it was he's put the mission. I think it was an old tweet from maybe 2020, 2021, but he said the mission is the mind of a philosopher, the creativity of an artist, the body of an athlete, and the spirit of a rebel. Like, all those things can't get there if you fall into your flesh every time. Like, if that's the mission, and and I believe that's the mission I would love to be on, that I am on, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta refocus, reset, recalibrate. And I think it's important to talk about, guys, if you are on these streaks, I don't think you should count the days, right? Because I think it's just like anything. Sometimes when you count the days, your mind, it starts to wonder, and you start to be like, you're just gonna set yourself up for failure. I think you just set a goal, or set a realistic goal for yourself. Like, hey, we're gonna aim for 3 months, and just let it go. Like, don't keep checking your phone. Oh, we on day 15, we on day 16. Like, because if you do slip up, I think you're gonna feel so bad about yourself, because that's happened before too, where I might have been doing semen retention in the past, and I'm like on day 20 something, then I slip up and I'm like, oh, all my progress is gone, all my, like, I feel, but it's really not gone. Honestly, you built up a strong tolerance. Now, just pretend like you picking up from there. Just like, it's like if you in sports, if something happened, like you
know what's funny? I'm on the fence with that, because I don't necessarily count days, but the more days I get, the more motivated I am to keep going.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not.
I think there's two extremes, I guess. There's two extremes.
In a way, I'll be like, hey, it's been 2 months. It's been 3 months, but I'm not like day 15.
That's what I'm saying.
16,
like,
unless I'm doing a challenge.
Yeah.
That's like raise 30 or 75 hard type thing.
Yeah.
But I know I'm motivated by the more days I put in me, and that makes me less likely to slip up, because I'm like, I'm a person that love progress. I love when I stick to my word. So the more days I get under there, the closer I feel like I am to conquering it.
Yeah.
So I'm more motivated by it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I just wouldn't say focus on a day, because some people like focus on each day, and it's like, okay, like, you gotta be able to think about something else. Like, 'cause if you think about this, you might think yourself into something else. Like, let it go. Like, yes, cool. It's been a month, been 2 months, but I don't think you have to count every day.
I want to go back to something, because I didn't get to ask the question, but I didn't want to break your flow. But because I'm pretty sure there's been other people that's on this journey and have slipped up. So now that you slipped up, how do you bounce back from that to try to get right back into the routine and try to make sure that you don't slip up again? What was your steps for that?
Slipped up, cool, went to bed. That's first off. Get you a good night rest after that, because you did what you need to do.
I'm pretty sure it was late when you were doing this. So yeah, absolutely.
So get you a good night rest. But honestly, jumping right back into into my routine, and making sure that I handle the triggers. Like, immediately the next day, I was like, all right, let me go back and make sure my not interested is good. Let me handle each step between my socials, between the computer, whatever that is. Just making sure I put barriers and boundaries around myself. We always talk about boundaries for other people, put boundaries around myself, because that was the issue. And like I said, not waiting, like we talked about, like, I could have been like, well, I mean, I already messed up. The rest of the month, I'm gonna just do it because I've done that before.
And that's something I've done. In the
I've done that
past. Like,
before.
it depends where it. Like, say if it's May got 31 days.
Yeah, 31 days.
If it was like I slipped up on the 27th, just gonna ride this rest of this. I might as well just ride this out. And I used to have that.
But even you was like, don't do that.
Not this time. Yeah, not in this space.
Not in this space. Go straight back to where you were. Yeah, go straight back to it. So that's what I did. I went right back to it and was like, all right, cool. And I've been cool. That was 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. But yeah, I've been good now because I set up those parameters. I set up those things that are gonna set me up for success. It's like being prepared, so you don't have to, get prepared. Already staying aware, staying awake, understanding like, okay, if I'm being in bed this late night, I don't want to be looking at this. I don't need to be on Instagram. I don't need to be on Twitter. Definitely don't need to be on Twitter. That's a whole nother place. And you gave a key tip on Twitter. Make sure you go to who you following, not the other tab, because that's where the nonsense.
For you. Don't be following. The for you be dangerous.
Yeah, get off the for you. Get on the following, and even on your following, if it's somebody that's retweeting something crazy,
unfollow.
They got to get up out there. So I hopped right back on it. Like, fell off the horse, got back on the horse. Like, all right, let's keep it going. And I didn't feel like bad for myself. I was just like, dang, I shouldn't have done it, but. Hey,
but you was honest about it too.
I had accountability. I came to him.
You came straight and said, I messed up.
I messed up.
You didn't try to hide it. You didn't try to keep it a secret. Yeah. You owned up to it. I gotta respect.
And I know he was gonna make some jokes about it, so I'm like, it's funny.
Yeah, so you had fun that night.
Yeah. So look, accountability partners help. So get with somebody, get with another homie, especially if it's other men, like-minded men that you got around you, because that'll definitely help keep you motivated. Because then you be like, all right, shoot, dang, I don't want to go to him tell him I messed up, so let me make sure I stay locked in. You know what I'm saying? So that definitely helps.
Let me ask you this, because I don't think I've ever asked you this. You got little brothers, but your oldest little brother is 17?
Yeah, he'll be 18 in September.
Have you ever talked to him about porn or any of this stuff? And have you ever I may need to talk to him, tell him the stuff we talking about now.
No, I definitely thought about that because me and my dad talked about possibly talking to him because I'm like, all right, he getting ready to go to college. You know what I'm saying? He playing football. This honestly would be the best time for him to, especially he going to his senior year. You know how important that senior, especially in high school. You want to make sure your film is right. You're trying to get scholarships. Like, if I can get him to understand that, if you just lock in for this next 365, it can shift the trajectory of your life depending on how far you want to take it. So I think that's a conversation that I definitely need to have with him because I've talked to my dad about it. I think my dad has spoke to him. But it's different coming from your dad and from your brother.
Absolutely.
There's two different things.
With your parent.
It's definitely awkward with your parent. Even though I think my dad chill, but he ain't grown enough yet. Like me and my dad now, you hear the conversation we had, so it's funny now, but I don't think he there with him yet because he only 17. But I think it's very important. I think anybody that's listening, if you got any man specifically, if you got a younger brother, younger cousin, anybody, nephew, whatever that is, to go ahead and talk to them about that now. Talk to them about semen retention. Talk to them about, not watching porn. Get them on the Raise 30 challenge. We're going to keep pushing that. Get them on the Raise 30 challenge. It's on the website. Like, get them in anything that's going to occupy their minds for the better. That's going to take them away from being on TikTok and looking at women all day and trying to because what can happen is too, they'll see these girls that are such a different caliber and they'll start to feel bad, but they're like, I'm never gonna get any girl like this. And it's like, bro, nah, if you work on yourself and lock in, you can have, honestly, you can have what you want. The important thing is doing it for yourself, though, and let the rest just come to you.
Yeah, it all got to be internal.
It got to be internal, It got to be internal.
That you're achieving for. You'll always be reaching if you're looking for external validation. It got to be all internal.
So I think it's
have a why.
Yeah, it's an absolute necessity to talk to my brother for sure, especially with college coming around the corner because he may be in the midst of watching porn right now, and these are how addictions start, and at that young age, and then that may go into college, and that turns into other stuff. So it's like, yo, let's stop this now before it gets too crazy. I mean, you got a brother, but he's older, and I'm sure y'all not that far apart, but y'all was far apart enough when you were younger, probably. I don't know if he ever. Well, no, he probably was in the same.
I was watching his.
Yeah, he was watching his.
What do you think I learned?
So it's a little different. Like we said, it's a little different back then. Now it's crazy, and there's so many YouTube. It's great YouTubers. There's great YouTubers out there that are talking about semen retention. That are talking about desexualizing your brain. That are talking about monk mode. That are these things, and you start thinking like, why do men have all these things online? It's because it's never been talked about before. And never been so important until like now. It's very important now to lock in and get that taken care of, which I'm excited about it because I do want to see how long, because the goal is for the rest of your life. That's the goal. Like, I don't know if y'all, for those who listen, like our goal is to not watch porn ever again. Are we here to say that it's going to happen? I don't know. But I think the longer you go, the longer streaks you on, it just starts to, because you don't even really start thinking. You don't really think about it no more.
Yeah.
You're just like, why am I watching this? The effort I'm gonna take to do this isn't the risk doesn't outweigh the reward of me feeling good and like feeling like I'm doing something with my life. So that's the other part about it.
Yeah, man. So I think we could wrap right there.
Yeah.
Honestly, like. I think it's just important. I'll say my last piece is like, once you learn to control your urges, all of that will be tied to your discipline. Mm-hmm. And you take that discipline, it'll bleed into other areas of your life. Mm-hmm. And just find a purpose. If you're struggling with desexualizing your mind or stopping porn, find a purpose and put that energy there. Because once you find that purpose, that's all you'll be thinking about. That's all you'll be focused on. Because once you start seeing the results and everything that come from that, you're going to be more excited to keep building and growing that. Like, we just have to learn delayed gratification. And in this generation, that's hard because we have microwave brains. We want everything fast and instant. And it's because of social media. It's because of TikTok. We just so much dopamine hits this scrolling, getting likes that, we got to fight back.
Yeah.
Like, we won't know the effects of all this stuff until years later. But if you consciously know what the effects are and you consciously trying to do the opposite or actually put in the work to, get yourself off of that, you'll be good.
That's what's going to be the interesting part, like years down the road when they look at the brains and, the statistics of like what it did to our brains now. It's going to be crazy. But also like be the one to influence your friend group. Fellas, like if you got you and a couple friends that may be watching porn to talk about or whatever, like you be that person to be like, you know what? I'm gonna shift the influence of my group, like, because once you say you're not watching it, they may laugh at you, they may be, oh, you this and that third, but when they start seeing the results you're getting and like how you operating, how you moving, how you winning, how your energy is different, how your frequency is higher, they're gonna be like, yo, all right, well, like we need to jump on this, like, cause everything's gonna shift. Like you said, it literally changes your paradigm. Like the book Bob Proctor wrote, change your paradigm, change your life. Your paradigm shift is a whole shift in the ecosystem of your energy when you stop watching porn and you just like learn to tap into yourself and, making sure that you're doing it for you. You're doing it for you. You're doing it for a better you. You're doing it for your family. You're doing it for all that, man. And like, you're just trying to set a good example for the people around you. So you be the influence.
And why it's great for you to be that influence and you to start it, because if you want to create change in the world, you got to create change within.
So there you go.
That's it.
We up out of here.